try these problem A on page 475 for you using the quadratic formula, just to give you another example of how to work these problems and find the x-intercepts using the quadratic formula. So the example is 3x squared equals 4x plus 3. So step one, you want to put this quadratic in standard form. Okay, so I'm going to take, because my x squared term right here is positive, I'm going to take these other two terms and I'm going to move them over to the left-hand side of this equation. So essentially I'm subtracting 4x and I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides to move them over to the other side of the equal sign. So that's going to give us 3x squared minus 4x minus 3 and set it equal to 0. The next thing you want to do is you want to write down A, B, and C. So if your quadratic is in standard form, A is the coefficient of x squared, so it's 3. B is the coefficient of x, negative 4. And C is your constant term, which is negative 3. So we have A, B, and C. The next thing we need to do is write down the quadratic formula. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4A times C divided by 2A. Let's substitute in and let's simplify. So negative B. So I'm going to bring down the negative sign in front of the B. On this one, B is negative, so it's a negative 4. Now this is going to actually turn into positive 4 because when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. Okay, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so negative 4 squared minus 4 times A, which is 3, times C, which is negative 3. And then we're going to divide all of that by 2 times A, so 2 times 3. So let's just simplify. Here we go. This negative 1 times negative 4 gives us 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared is 16. Right here, we're going to multiply negative 4 times 3, which is negative 12. And negative 12 times negative 3, that gives us positive 36. Positive 36. Okay, next, we're going to divide all of that by 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, remember you can use a calculator for all of this, okay? Let's continue to simplify. So you can work down or you can put an equal sign, you can work out to the side, whatever you best feel like. Just make sure that you're using equal signs or you're working down. So 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 36, it's going to give us 52. Square root of 52 divided by 6. Now 52 is not a perfect square. Not a perfect square. So I need to think of factors of 52 that add up to, no, just factors of 52. Factors of 52. Sorry, I've got my brain on factoring here. So factors of 52, that would be, we're looking for some perfect squares, right? So is 52 divisible by 4? Is 52 divisible by 4? Yes, it is. That would be 4 times 13. So I think those are our factors right there. So I'm going to factor 52 into 4 times 13. And I like 4 because it's a perfect square, so I can pull it outside of the radical. So that's going to give us 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 13 divided by 6. Okay? Now, folks, this is a correct solution right here, but you can simplify a little bit more. So if you start looking at your fractions here, this is essentially this, like, let me split this up for you. This is like saying 4 divided by 6 plus or minus 2 square root of 13 divided by 6, right? That's essentially what you're saying here. 4 divided by 6, I can simplify that into 2/3 plus or minus this 2 divided by 6 right here. I can simplify that into 1/3, right? So I have an understood 1 in front of my square root, so it would be square root of 13 divided by 3, okay? That's how the simplifying would work right here. So 4 divided by 6 and 2 divided by 6, okay? I'll write them back together since they have the same denominator here. I'll write it as 2 plus or minus the square root of 13 divided by 3, okay? Now, if you want to split that into 2 separate answers, you can. So you could say I've got 2 plus the square root of 13 divided by 3. That's one of our x's. The other x would be 2 minus the square root of 13 divided by 3, okay? Now, of course, you can plug those into your calculator. I'm going to pull up my calculator on my phone, and I'm going to plug this first one in right here and see what kind of solution I get. So I'm going to do the square root of 13. I'm going to add 2, and then I'm going to divide it by 3. That gives me x is, I'm going to put an approximate symbol here because it's not an exact answer. It's actually an irrational number that's going to go on infinitely, never repeating, never terminating. So I get approximately 1.86, and then I've got an 8 and a 5, so I'll just round that to a 9. I'll do 3 decimal places. And then I'm going to do the other one here. So I'm going to do the square root of 13. And I'm going to, let's see, that a negative, and then I'm going to add 2, and then I'm going to divide it by 3. So that's going to give me x is approximately equal to negative 0.53, and I've got a 5 and then a 1, so just round to a 5. So these should be the approximate answers that you are getting, okay? There we go. I want you to work problem B, see how you do, and then click on the solution and check to see how you did.